Do you hear that rumble? Might that rumble in the distance be Thunderbolts?
Yes, we're here to annoy you with more non-Superman content.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, man.
That's what they talk about!
But today we're going to talk about Bob and Friends.
Yes.
Which is, I believe, because, Thunderbolts had the asterisk. And then at the end of the movie, you discover that the real name of the movie was Bob and Friends. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, also, of course, right up at the top, we're going to spoil the heck out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Even with the trailers, I wasn't sure what it was going to be or what it would feel like. And then I see it, and it's just one of the best ones they've done in a while, as a lot of people are saying. And I'm glad that even critics are kind of like, oh, Marvel, they woke up.
Yeah, right. No, it's a really good, well-written confluence of all these different storylines that are coming from different places in the MCU. And they really, how did we tell a story with all these weird characters, coming off the arcs that we've just seen them on, either on Disney Plus shows or movies that came out a couple of years ago? How do we put them in a story that makes sense? And they nailed it, I thought.
They nailed it.
Very tightly written story.
They found the right balance where they didn't need to educate you on these people. If you hadn't watched the other stuff, you weren't dependent upon it. You could tell where everyone emotionally was when you first meet them in the movie and where they end up. So they all have arcs, but you don't need, you have references to like, yeah, you were Captain America for like 5 minutes and you killed a guy on live TV. You're like, okay, even if you hadn't seen, Falcon and Winter Soldier, you now get the concept. Elena is never referred to as Black or White Widow. She doesn't have that, but the fact that she and Red Guardian are father-daughter kind of combo, and you get enough. Even on a character that very Suicide Squad-y is there for half a second and then goes away.
Yeah.
And I thought they give just enough. There's a badass action sequence involving that character. Why am I being coy? Taskmaster. And they do say, oh, right, you're little miss, anything the Avengers can do, I can do better. And then it's like, wow, one sentence. If you hadn't seen Black Widow and had no idea who Taskmaster was, you get the impression. It's like, oh, right. So, yes, I thought they did, as you say, a really great job of pulling them all together from various storylines and from projects that are now years old, but you're like, oh man, what a great wrap up or continuation of Bubble.
Yeah.
I mean, Ghost, who's even thought about Ghost since Ant-Man and the Wasp, even though I thought that was an interesting character, but it wasn't the focal point of that movie. I was like, no, it's really about Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, and that was 2 Ant-Man movies ago.
That was 2 Ant-Man movies ago, including one that people will dump on, and unjustly, and that's Quantumania. So, and also, okay, this is like in the Netflix shows where we had the Defenders, and it was Defenders, just a name pulled out of the air, because if you're like a longtime comic nerd, you'd be sitting there going, those aren't the Defenders. Those characters have nothing to do with the Defenders. Well, here comes Thunderbolts, because this has nothing to do with any iteration of the Thunderbolts in the comics.
Yeah.
However, it works. They did make this Marvel Suicide Squad. That's what it was.
Right.
And that's not what it is in the comics. But, or I guess at one point it did morph kind of into that. But, so yes, this is all the not quite heroes and former villains, that the government, or at least one little chunk of it, that's led by Contessa
Valentina something. DeFontaine, yeah.
That bit was great. And again, talk about a character that's very far from her source material. Marvel it wins me over. It's like, yeah, that's not the character from the comic, and yet it's like, okay, it's Julie Louis-Dreyfus. It's like, she's great. I'm not going to complain too much. This thing is brilliantly rethought. Basically, they've not been a team. And Valentina has basically been sending them off on solo missions. But because she and her group within the government are about to be exposed, and she's about to be impeached and all this stuff, basically she hires them, or tells them all, gives them a mission, and they find out that they've all been given a mission to kill one of the other members in a facility that's about to be torched anyway, because Valentina is covering up all of her dirty little secrets. And then they figure out, holy shit, this was all a setup, but they don't find that out before they kill Taskmaster.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. I was trying to remember. I was like, does Taskmaster have like a healing factor or something? Is she going to get up and say, "Fuck you guys" at some point toward the end of the scene? But
as far as I know, I think they are literally killing her off. Not that she was a bad character, but I also think there were a lot of people in the comics fandom that's one of the bridge too far. How dare you make that our Taskmaster? And this is, I think, them going like, didn't like her, she's gone.
Yeah, it was a very Marvel thing too to have her mask open up just for her to say that one line. I'm not here for you.
Yeah. Just to reveal like, oh, which is very funny because of course she has been in like the posters and ads and stuff. They did a good job of at least making you think that she was going to be a permanent member. But very much like Suicide Squad, they're not all coming out alive.
Yeah.
But anyway, this mismatched group, they all learn to work together and they comment on that stuff. And one of the secrets that is in the lab that's about to be torched is a test subject of something called Project Sentry. And that's Bob. This is a different take on the Sentry, but still at the core it is the same.
Yeah.
A good guy with serious emotional problems, and he's the most powerful being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and in the Marvel Comics universe. He's their Superman, and they specifically set out to make a Superman type character, but what if our Superman is also the biggest threat? Like, he is his own archenemy, which was a brilliant concept. And they pull it off in this movie really well.
Yeah. Little shade of Moon Knight there too, as well. Just the sort of split personality thing, which was also another mental illness based story.
Here's the gimmick of the Sentry in the comics. Another gimmicky thing. And this was also pretty brilliant. And this is from early 2000s, I believe. The gag was Paul Jenkins, who was the writer that came up with the Sentry. He presented it as if the whole thing was like, we can't believe this, but we found a long forgotten Stan Lee creation. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby came up with this character, and they were so busy back then that they totally, they blanked on it, never got published. But they found the paperwork like somewhere in like a drawer or a filing cabinet at Marvel, and it's this character called the Sentry. We're going to bring that character to life because, oh my God, it's a Stan Lee creation that everyone forgot about. And he shows up in the comics, and the conceit is that and they, of course, they had sketches of the Sentry that were by Jack Kirby, all the air quotes in the world. So it looked vintage, and you're like, wow. So they bring him in a miniseries, and the miniseries is the Sentry that the rest of the Marvel Universe is like, who the hell is this guy? And he keeps going up to these heroes like Reed Richards and Tony Stark and going like, I know you don't believe this, but we were really good friends. And the whole thing is that he had wiped the memory of his own existence out of the minds of the entire universe because he realized what a danger he was. And the villain that he was fighting, the Void, that's revealed in the miniseries that the Void is also him.
Mm-hmm.
So really trippy. And then he became a member of the New Avengers, and he's been in Marvel Comics ever since.
I read that before I went in and thought, ooh, I wish I hadn't read that, because I thought, this is going to be a huge spoiler in the movie, but they don't tell the same story.
Oh, you read that before you went in?
Yeah. Because I was here, who's the Sentry? And I read the Wikipedia entry.
Oh, no.
And, but that's the thing, is it doesn't really spoil it. I mean, you know right from the drop that it's the same guy when the Void shows up, that that's Bob as well. So it's not a secret. But one thing I wish that they had done, which I thought was really cool, and it almost seemed like they were early on, but it was just the old plan being rediscovered and people figuring out what it actually is. But in the comics that you were just describing, people remember who he is as they're meeting him again. It's like their memory comes back. So he's kind of like going around and pollinating people's memory, repollinating their memory that he erased before he realized that he erased it, I guess. But that would have been a cool thing if people are like something, Oh yeah, right. The Sentry. God, what? I totally forgot. Or something like that.
In this case, he hasn't in the movie when he is basically he had been tossed out like corpses of Project Sentry. They didn't think that he was alive, and the Thunderbolts, who aren't Thunderbolts yet, they wake him up, and all he knows is I'm Bob, and he doesn't know what he's doing there. He doesn't know his powers. So unlike the comics, he's not the Sentry yet. He's got all the power, and he doesn't know it. And he's clearly, kind of off. But Elena, which was a great choice because it just gives her someone to kind of look after. She's shown as being kind of, even though she is an assassin and murder, she's shown to be kind of the most empathetic out of this entire group. And so she really kind of looks after Bob the entire time, and they bond sort of, which is actually very sweet and touching. So she is like, because they're like, let's just get out of here. And she goes, we can't leave that guy. And he's like, I can help. And they're like, yeah, sure. Okay, great. But yes, they get out of the death trap, escape, plus Red Guardian, David Harbour. Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love David Harbour. And I love the way he plays Red Guardian. There's the only one thing that has driven me crazy is that in Black Widow, he was a top Russian spy, Soviet spy in mid-America. And they don't avoid that. They bring it up here because the whole name is the name of her Little League soccer team, the Thunderbolts. And that's a brilliant idea. But he was fully, if you watch Black Widow, he was like, okay, everybody, we got to get in the car. And years later, now he talks like cartoon Russian with bad grammar. And I'm like going, you passed as like, just like fella guy, American fella guy. The only thing I could say is maybe all those years in the Gulag, which is also in Black Widow, maybe that did sort of like snap.
Messes with him, yeah. I do love that. He's so good at it. Like that later, that during the desert highway action scene, he goes, "Yes, that's what I talk about."
Yes, that's what I talk about. The first button scene during the credits. I mean, this is a gift that they gave him, this character, but he's in like the cheesy tracksuit with the new Avengers stuff on it, and he's holding the Wheaties box, so they pay off that little bit. And he's like going, oh, it's very tasty. He just keeps pointing at himself. And then the lady he's trying to impress is just backing away. He goes, that's me. It's me. That is me there.
The comedy with him is just so almost effortless because it just seems like, put David on camera and let him riff, and it's going to be funny.
And it is. And you do need that because everyone else, Ghost gets a lot of good lines about, because they do the whole let's compare our tragic backstories, and she goes, dudes, I was raised in a lab that kept me molecularly together, and so therefore I haven't had a life. And they're like, okay, that's pretty bad. John Walker, we find out what happened post all that stuff. He lost his wife and kid. They just left him. And that's tragic. It's just sort of like, these are not happy people. Elena has that great, very Florence Pugh sort of black humor, but she's also really damaged. And so the big beating heart being Red Guardian, who's so excited to be back in the game, be taken seriously. They just worked all this out well. And Bucky, I love all the stuff about I like Valentina going like, oh, hey, congratulations, junior congressman. You'll have the shortest run, the shortest career in Congress of any ever. And he's like, yeah, well, because that literally, this picks up right after Captain America, Brave New World.
I love he's obviously very well-meaning and what he's trying to do in that position, but
he's not a good fit.
He kind of sucks at it.
He sucks at it. I like that. I like that too. And also Wendell Pierce, man.
Yeah. I was like, hey, got a little bit of Perry before we get Perry. That's all I was thinking every time he's on screen. He's like, come on.
Me too. I'm very ready for him to be there. And that's just a character for the movie, but put Wendell Pierce in and suddenly you love that guy. You want to see him and Bucky in Congress. So all of it's working really well. The action sequences are very well done. And once he becomes Sentry, which is all what I like about Valentina is she's constantly adjusting depending on the situation and turning it to her advantage, which she does at the end as well. They don't do the villain thing where it's like, you're busted, you're going to jail, or you've been destroyed by your own whatever. Instead, she comes out kind of on top, except for the Thunderbolts are like, you realize that we own you now. It was so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I dug it. And the Sentry himself is terrifying. I mean, we love Bob, but he's got a
he's
problem.
Fantastic. And I'd seen Lewis Pullman and other stuff, obviously the Top Gun movie, but I never really clocked. I recognized his face when I saw him, but he never, and I've seen other people point this out too, he's never looked more like Andrew McCarthy than he does in this movie.
He
it's
does.
That wide-eyed kind of befuddlement that Andrew is known for. He's got it in spades.
But his dad is also in that face. This is Nepo Baby, the movie.
Oh no, yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
we got son of Kurt and son of Bill in a movie. And I'm like going, anybody else related? Yeah. I mean, but luckily
they're both fantastic.
Yeah, they're both fantastic. Yeah. Wyatt has always, I've been like, wow, good on you, man. You're great. And yes, everything I've seen Lewis Pullman, I'm like, if they have the talent, put them on screen. It isn't about who their fathers are or their moms are.
And I know Andrew McCarthy was not in the Breakfast Club, but it just occurred to me this was kind of like a
oh, it's very. In fact, there is a
like a John Hughes superhero movie.
They did a poster where they do the poses from Breakfast Club.
Oh,
there is
like
okay. Yeah, there is one.
That's funny. Okay,
or maybe it was fan made. I can't remember if it was fan made or official. But yeah, they're all one of them's laying down. I think Elena's the one laying down in the front and all that. I'm like, because it's the
totally
group of misfits.
You got Wyatt kind of being the jock,
Yes,
and the two women are like pulling his chain. And that scene at the back of the van, like, oh yeah, nice helmet. Yeah, think so.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I just there are all these little conversations that I think may have been improv. And Florence apparently is notorious for doing improv. And so a lot of the stuff, I sit there because she's like going, do you like your little hat?
Yeah.
And he's like, hat. Do you mean my helmet? It's like, yeah. And he goes, I think it's good.
Yeah. And Ghost is also going, look at him going, yeah, this guy's a fucking clown. I love it.
Yes, when it comes to just the superhero stuff, like you mentioned that desert scene, which is this, they're trying to get away in a limousine that's topping out around 65 miles per hour. And you've got major, military equipment, Humvees coming at them with like cannons on top. The Bucky appearance, it's just sort of like, Jesus God. It's like, all right. That's the best thing ever.
That was so great how that unfolded, because she fires off one shot and the truck explodes, and she's like,
"Yeah,
wait, that wasn't me."
She did one handgun shot and the thing explodes. She's like, "Whips at the gun, like, what did I? No, it was." And then he, topples them because he's after them. Yeah, it's just so good.
It was so good all the time. All the humor was so well timed, because you got Wyatt or Walker going, yes, oh shit. Like,
he
throws the ball.
And then they blow up. Yeah, it was well shot, well edited. It was just really good. And I will say the Void, when he becomes the Void, the effects there were great. The concept of what looks like him killing people, but in essence he's sending them into the Void, which is sort of this emotional
netherworld or something.
But the effect of just people going it was like, wow.
I thought there was what gave it away. I thought before Elena walks, takes a deep breath and walks into the darkness, when the Red Guardian saves the little girl from the falling rubble, and then immediately Void wipes her out, and I thought, oh, they're probably not really
I like
dead.
The way that's you meta thinking about movies. It's like,
I don't think Marvel would kill a little girl.
They just killed a little girl in a Marvel movie?
Even though we did see, Elena's
I had a similar thought
classmate get assassinated in that memory.
Yeah.
But
it was quite effective. Yeah. I was still wondering where it went. I saw someone online going, someone did a Twitter mashup where they're going, this is where Peter Parker went during the Void, because it did cover all of New York. So every New York superhero also ended up in the Void at some point.
Right.
So, but they just did this clip where it was like, Aunt May dying, and it's all the different deaths and all the stuff from all the Spider-Man movies, and it's this guy playing Peter Parker, not any of the actors, but he's going it's like, this is where you went during the Void.
Side note, since you mentioned Spider-Man, do you think I mean, you're much more knowledgeable about comics in general than I am, so that's why I'm asking you, but
I'll take it.
The whole thing with Sentry in the comics, him erasing the world's memory about him, and then it comes back again.
Yeah.
And I know, and obviously in No Way Home, that's kind of what happens with Spider-Man, where Doctor Strange erases everyone's memory about him, not Spider-Man, but Peter Parker being Spider-Man, or Peter Parker in general. Nobody knows what Peter Parker is anymore.
Yeah, man,
including him. So it's including Doctor Strange himself. So do you think they got that idea from the Sentry comic, or has Doctor Strange ever done something like that in the comics? Erase the world's memory about somebody?
Not that I know of, no. Yeah. But they might have. Who knows? It's very well handled in this, with the fact that they don't know him, but he doesn't even know himself. And then we have the one person who's actually bonded with him, willing to walk through her own stuff, which is horrifying, and then getting to him. And he basically allows her in, because she's walking through her own memories, but she sees him through a mirror. He's not behind her, but he's in the whole other room. And she's like, hey, Bob, can we talk? And he's like, sure. But he's given up. He's like, the Void's too powerful. I can't fight it.
Yeah, I'm just going to hide in here. Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that this movie has superhero fight scenes and physical stuff, but then the big fight at the end is about a man versus himself. I'm like, this does take this to a different level. And it's something really cleverly done, and you're rooting for Bob, because again, I will say, Lewis Pullman with the big puppy dog eyes, it's going to work every time. Yeah, even when he is literally assaulting everybody, when he tears them apart and it's like nothing to him, it's chilling. Yeah, because he is like Superman with the moral compass. He's just like, oh yeah, cybernetic arm. Oh yeah, whatever, fuck.
Yeah,
it's like, she's invisible and intangible. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow.
Yeah. That whole scene was so well scripted, or blocked.
And the blonde hair, and they're like, oh, so you dyed your hair? And he goes, it was her idea. Yeah. So the resolution is basically the asterisk. It turns out that the way it resolves, and it was clever that they kept it secret. Now they are releasing ads that tell what that's about now. Did you see the little thing that had the cast yanking off the Thunderbolts off the poster?
I saw the one where Sebastian Stan replaces the poster at a bus station.
Yes.
That scene, though, where we first see Bob in his Sentry outfit, and he's throwing them all around the room. Number one, the suit reminds me of Nuclear Man from Superman 4. But also, it does remind me of the penthouse scene where Superman first is introduced to Nuclear Man in that movie.
Does it?
It's a little bit like, here, by the way, here's my new creation, Superman. Good luck.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah, a little interesting there. I don't know. Again, I don't know if they had that going through their head when they wrote that scene.
The look of the Sentry is the same as the comics. They literally doubt that they were thinking of Superman 3.
Well, that also was after Superman 4. That was
yes. That's right.
So I mean, probably not, but I mean, still,
probably
that scene,
not. I mean,
that scene where he's beating their asses in the penthouse, apartment, whatever. Like,
well, it's actually the Avengers. It's formerly Avengers Tower. Now, and she goes, "Welcome to the Watchtower." Right.
Yeah.
And the Watchtower, since you read on the Wikipedia, basically, Bob takes the Avengers headquarters, which is a skyscraper in the comics at a certain point, but he adds this huge, like, fantastic future tech thing to the top, and they call it the Watchtower. And I think it's still in the comics, though I don't think they actually refer to it much. You can just always see it, and they do the cityscape, and then this weird contraption on top of the Avengers Tower.
There is a building in Manhattan that resembles Avengers Tower very much. I forget. I don't know which one it is. I noticed it when I was visiting there a couple of years ago. I took some video of it.
Yeah, of course. And you're like, there's Thor. Oh, I do like the whole thing where he goes, you basically are trying to fight a god. And they're like, whoa. No one's calling you a god. He goes, well, I could beat up Thor from the Avengers with no problem. And he's a god. So what does that make me? And they're like, a dick.
Oh, another nuclear man thing. She knows how to. Well, it's in Superman 4, it's push him into the shade and he shuts up. But she has a button to turn him off.
You pull out an umbrella. Yes, the kill switch kind of thing. And they never explain it. I do like the fact that it's still a comic movie where they go, the kill switch. Well, you had that destroyed along with everything else. It's like, no, we got that. And you're like, what does it do? Where is it? An implant?
And was that in the comics? Did he have a kill switch?
No, I think the whole thing in the comics was, if I remember correctly, essentially there's no kill switch, but they go to similar to the Franklin Richards thing. I think it's a mental block that's keeping him from going full void. And it may have been bolstered by Professor X or something like that, or Doctor Strange, or somebody. It's like, hey, could you make sure that I don't wipe everybody out in existence by becoming the void? And they're like, yeah, let's work on that. But I do love the fact that they are christened at the end, the new Avengers. And they do mention, like, Sam's not going to be happy about that. And Bucky's like going, I can talk to him, but I don't think that's going to work so much. And it's not their idea. It's all Valentina saving her own butt by saying, oh, this was my plan all along. These are my guys. Welcome to your new Avengers. And they're not comfortable with it. Except for, of course.
Except for Red Guardian.
Yeah, except for him. He's just totally over the moon. The fact that he is now an Avenger. And he goes, I thought out the whole thing where he goes, here's the problem. He goes, too much. Everyone recognizes the Avengers and they say, we're not the Avengers. He goes, we put the Z at the end. See, it's Avengers.
Yeah.
He goes, that way we're a totally different group. It's just so stupid and great. That is in the big, we should talk about it, the big button scene, which I was not spoiled for me. Was it spoiled for you?
No.
Good.
No. I kind of figured, because people were saying, gotta watch the second post-credit scene. Don't miss it.
The only thing I knew going in was it was the longest that they've ever had yet. It's like almost 3 minutes.
Right.
And it really does just start off as like them in the watchtower going, what do we do now? No one likes us as the Avengers, whatever. And he comes in with like, oh, we're going to rebrand. And they're like, he goes, I got one for each of you. And they're like, yeah, I'm good.
Great.
Bob is like, he's just sitting there sipping like a cocktail, just hanging out.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's pretty good that you, it was like, you can hang out with us. You're one of us. He goes, yeah, but I can't, I don't have any, I can't do anything.
Yeah. Can't do anything because, the thing.
Yeah, the thing. And they're like, that's fine.
They tell us there's a title card before that says 14 months later. And so obviously he has been he's had therapy or something, because after the Void event,
basically they had already set up that he's had things before he had powers.
Right. I forgot.
Yeah, where he has like memory blackout. So at the end of the movie, he's like, who are you guys? What's up? What's going on here? No, he does remember them.
But he remembers them. He just doesn't remember anything else that happened.
He doesn't remember being Sentry.
Being the Void, yeah.
I'm sure they let him know, though.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, is that final scene, clearly he's been brought up to speed at that point, and he knows that he can't be Sentry or else that.
But they're going to keep an eye on him anyway.
But he probably still doesn't remember any of it.
And I do love the idea that they've got this place. We don't know what they've been up to, if they've actually fought anything as a team in the 14 months. But I do love the fact that they don't know how the gear works or anything and it's like, oh, what's that? It's like an alarm. It's like an alarm from where? And they're like, oh, and it's like, no, on the pad. And it's like, what do I push? Where do?
Yeah.
And they call up it's an alarm that lets them know that
something about interdimensional.
An interdimensional ship has entered the galaxy, the solar system.
And they do mention before this that there's some crisis in space.
Yeah, they do. They mention
which Wyatt, which U.S. agent. They don't even call him U.S. agent.
They didn't. I thought they would.
He says like, It's like, what? We got plenty of space. Like, no, you moron.
Yeah,
outer space.
It's like, this place is huge. We got plenty of space. They're like, no, you idiot. And so they do a zoom in, and guess what? It is the Fantastic Four ship. And I lost it.
And then it rotates, and you see the 4 logo on it very clearly. This is why I was saying you in chat last night. It's like this, and it's probably not, but it looks like, because it's obviously we as the audience are meant to recognize that.
Yes.
But it cuts back to Yelena's face, and she goes, she has wide-eyed thing. Does she recognize the 4 logo? Or
no? Well, I mean, I can't imagine. I can't imagine a world in which this one, Soviet ex-Russian spy has any knowledge of another dimension's hero team.
No, and that wouldn't be another interdimensional knowledge. But there has been theories that this version of Fantastic Four started off in the 616, and they were a lost astronaut. Like they disappeared 40, 50 years ago or something, and most people have forgotten about them. But how she would know about that at a glance,
I can't imagine.
I like that idea though, but it seems unlikely.
It's a very cool comic booky idea. I think that more than that, it's very possible if they're seeing an interdimensional ship, they're probably not expecting to see Earth number on it. Like the number 4 on a ship that they were probably thinking aliens. They're probably thinking Chitauri or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And instead it's this sleek, cartoony rocket ship from something. And then it has Earth lettering. It has English lettering and a number 4 on it. And that's probably the reaction of like, what? Who the hell is that?
So I kind of figured that this second scene would have something to do with Fantastic Four, because people said, oh, it's important for what's coming. I was like, well, Fantastic Four, that's the next movie. So it's probably going to have something to do with that, or Avengers Doomsday. So when they showed the ship at them what it looks like them actually arriving in the 616, like, well, that's kind of a dead giveaway. But you mentioned that, John, and I've seen other people theorize this too, that John was theorizing, well, maybe it's not them on the ship. Maybe Dr. Doom hijacked their ship or something.
Possibly. Yeah, John, because I was like, oh,
and they're coming, but they're not here yet,
Yeah, and I was like, so they're on their way. And then John's like, maybe he was being real arch. He's like, yeah, I think maybe that's what they want you to think. But I bet it lands and Dr. Doom steps out. And you're like,
yeah.
Okay, maybe. That'd be cool too.
Somebody confirmed too, I'm not sure where this information came from, that scene, kind of similar to that scene from Civil War that wound up at the end of Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man movie, where it's a scene where Falcon is talking to Captain America, saying, "Oh, I know a guy."
Oh, yes.
That's actually in Civil War.
Yeah.
So this scene apparently was actually filmed for Avengers Doomsday. This is actually a scene that's going to be.
Really?
I think so. Yeah. I think it was confirmed. It was filmed. That scene was filmed on, during that production. So.
Wow.
In other words, pretty recently.
They're cooking it up.
Yeah.
I was so excited that I punched the chair in front of me. I was like, yes! There was no one in that chair, I should mention. Yeah, I was totally jazzed. I was one of those nerds. And nothing is more refreshing to me than not having something spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the second they said extra dimensional ship, I was like, I kind of knew already. But just having the visual confirmation and the number 4, I was just like, dude.
Yeah, I literally said out loud to myself in theater, I said, well, I'll be damned. I really didn't expect to see that.
I'll be damned. They finally did it. Richards! I can't wait. Anyway, so I don't know what we talk about now.
Maybe we'll save this for another time, but we could do a wrap up on Daredevil, which I know none of you care about, but we do.
We do care. And we're going to talk about what we want to talk about.
And Andor is in progress right now.
In fact, a couple of weeks from now, we're going to be doing, is it 1 or 2 episodes where we just go full on talking about Jabberjaw, the cartoon from the 70s? Yeah, we're going to do like a real deep dive into Jabberjaw. Oh, no, we will not.
Just FYI for Patreon people, I just finished the first pass edit on Superman Returns. It's taking me forever to get through this episode because it's a long one, and my computer is feeling its age. So it takes a long time to work through these things.
Grandpa computer.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, so that's you guys already have the unedited version, but the complete version,
with all the full frontal nudity. Enjoy.
Yeah. I'm really hoping that I can get that out this month before Blaggards goes on tour, because it would be nice.
Yes, indeed. Schedule depending, and Chad doesn't even know this, we may have a special guest coming up soon.
Oh, really?
Which I will surprise Chad with off air. And in case that doesn't happen, this will, at least I'll be vague and you won't know who you missed. But I think it'll happen. So there you go.
Okay.
I've arranged something for our show. But anyway,
cool.
Peace out. Bye, everybody. Go see Thunderbolts. Support your local Marvel movie.